requested me to share the NDE. I got goosebumps. The emotion returns. Good cause for my wide smile while telling it. My experience was lovely. It was April 1, 2008. I was in Langley, Virginia, with the Air Force. I was 19 and had a chip on my shoulder. After my left knee was seriously wounded in a training exercise, I thought, I'm not going to be in the Air Force much longer. I started arriving late for work, which is a military no-no. You must arrive 15 minutes early for everything. I was unhappy because I thought, well, my lifelong goal, my lifelong dream of being in the military, is just kind of gone down the drain. I was depressed, thinking, what am I going to do with my life now? I thought I would be in the military forever since I was 10. I arrived late for work one morning. I was unconscious on my dorm floor when my supervisor assumed she would catch me sleeping in and trying to be late. Since they had access to your room, they sent me to the base emergency department. They tested me extensively. They stated, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to check your blood. Nothing was abnormal in that hospital bed. Everything made me look fit. They didn't understand why I was unconscious on the floor. There was no sign of drugs or alcohol, so they were confused. They looked confused. Why was this fit 19-year-old found unconscious? Some nurses stated, we're going to do a mobile chest x-ray. We'll leave the room and come back with the equipment. My life transformed. As she left the room, it was like watching hospital shows on TV. Double vision, unsteady but calm, blurred from left to right. Much of this is confused because something happened fast, slow, cold, and hot at once. At that point, my vision started shaking and alarms started going off. I was confused and didn't understand. I'd seen this in movies, and I thought, what's going on? Nurses and physicians rushed in as my eyesight faded. Since I was in the final bed in the hospital ward, people were almost racing into the wall to get me and figure out why the sirens were blaring. The nurses and physicians shouted and looked over my body, apparently bewildered and terrified. I felt a great peace. I felt calm and tranquil in my most frantic seconds or minutes. The scare from a movie or someone jumping out usually sticks with you. This was different, just happy. While I lay in bed, someone sat on my left throughout the chaos. This individual stroked my left arm lovingly, giving me shivers. At 19, I didn't want a guy touching my arm, and I knew it was him. Instead of awkwardness, I felt serene affection. Despite the shouts and alarms, a loud voice said, "It's going to be okay. It's going to be fine. Don't worry about it," while stroking my arm. I tried to glance over but failed. He prohibited my visit. He stated, "There's going to be a lot of pain going up your arm. There's air going up to your heart, and it's going to cause you a lot of pain, but everything's going to be okay." I gazed up at the nurses and physicians watching me die. That's terrifying. No one can duplicate that expression. Watching someone die is scarier than showing fear or happiness. Instead of fear, I felt everything will be fine. That was my certainty. Last second, I tried to turn over. It hurt like a silver bullet up my arm. It hurt so much, I recall. Air embolism had occurred when air mistakenly traveled up my IV and was headed to my heart to halt it. I looked over to my left again to see who was massaging my arm, and the hospital monitor went flat. Because admitting I witnessed myself die is unsettling, I cry when I talk about it. I had the most tranquil and wonderful moment of my life. I felt ice spilling from my heart and chest. My heart should have hurt, yet it felt like icy water on a scorching day. My body rose from then on. It wasn't a tunnel, as some say. I felt like I was being spun around like a tornado. These magnificent angels appeared as light. Laughter and music rang like church bells. The most magnificent garden ever appeared before me. It's hard to express because our colors aren't as bright. I wanted to paint the vibrant greens but couldn't. Trees and vegetation were in this peaceful spot. A man in a robe and a youngster with curly, nearly red blonde hair were there. For those not watching the video or podcast, I have dark brown hair. I saw this man and boy playing in the garden. Before I knew it, my feet were in the mud and I could feel the grass. We say, "Pinch me, I must be dreaming." I remember my feet being buried in the ground. The cocky child ran away and looked back like he was playing catch with the man. Their relationship was lovely. I realized the tiny boy was me as I drew closer. I had bright blonde hair till age 5, then dark brown. Watching the small kid have the time of his life, the white-robed figure turned to me. I was shocked because I knew it was Jesus. I didn't see this Jesus in images, sculptures, or church altars. I didn't see him that way, but I knew like you know your left hand. I looked at Jesus face to face, and if you had asked me, "Hey Chase, if you die tomorrow, who are you going to see in heaven?" I probably wouldn't have responded Jesus. I would have said, "I'm going to run into Elvis Presley and have milk and cookies." Jesus being there wasn't predetermined. We communicated non-verbally. He probably didn't speak English, like me. I learned all these information from our talk. He glanced at me and said, "Go back and share love, laughter, light, and joy." I saw that small boy having the time of his life, and my lesson was to rediscover laughing. Happiness is undervalued. We all have hectic lives, and 9-to-5 workers find it hard to chuckle at work. That was my biggest lesson. Without saying anything further, he glanced at me and said, "You have to go back now." I agreed. I felt like I had more to prove, share, educate, and love. Therefore, I was ready to go back after seeing myself as a little child in the garden and talking to Jesus. On earth, I didn't enjoy these things as much. Suddenly, I was back in my body. I assumed it was a dream when I woke up. I tried opening my eyes, and if you're having a great dream, you close your eyes again and think, "Oh, just one more minute, one more minute." But once I realized it wasn't a dream and I was back in my body, I opened my eyes and realized I wasn't on the Air Force Base where I died. Nobody wore uniforms. BUs or uniforms were worn by everyone. I realized I was in a hospital room without power. You expect IVs and devices to be attached to someone who dies of an air embolism or cardiac arrest. I woke up in a civilian hospital after the Air Force sent me there to avoid declaring me dead on post. I was declared kill off base, so the military didn't have to accept blame. Wake up at a civilian hospital. A nurse entered a quiet room. She ran to get the doctor after saying she would. I wish I could remember more of the doctor's arrival. He made sure to say, "What the heck? How is this person alive? Then, we don't know what else to tell you. We're just going to send you back to the Air Force Base for more testing because you're their responsibility." As promised, they released me from the hospital. Every 19-year-old who had a near-death experience said, "I want to go out to dinner and hang out with my friends. I'm not going back to the hospital right away." 2 days later, I returned to the hospital. They monitored me, did every heart test, and had me wear equipment for 2 weeks. My heart was fine then, and now after extensive testing. Whatever happened, I was healed. A veterans organization retreat changed everything for me. After returning, my life improved drastically in a day. Sharing my tale with additional people felt like my calling. I had a second opportunity after being medically discharged from the Air Force permanently. I was young and could do anything, so I did. I pursued all my childhood dreams. I bought a beautiful camera and started shooting weddings since I love photography. My writing was published in a magazine. Since people always said I was hilarious growing up, I chose to become a comic. I performed and headlined in a fantastic comedy club. Break-In was the movie that made me like breakdancing. I joined a local university's breakdancing club despite not being a student. I found the club online, joined, and performed. People would marvel at my resume and question my age. I did DJ photography, breakdancing, comedy, and more. I kept going. I did anything I liked, for better or worse. If my heart stopped again and I returned to that area, I wanted to say, I did everything I loved. I'm so fulfilled. I loved everything and everyone I encountered. I think you can always converse to someone you can't see, hear, or feel. It goes beyond Christianity. There's something to aspire for whether you're Native American, Buddhist, Islamic, atheist, or other. Talk to those entities. I can and try to talk to them often. For those who say they can't break through, they're listening and ready to help. No one in heaven or anywhere wants anyone to suffer. That never happens. Stay positive and know that they're there even if you can't see them. An image of Jesus drawn by a young girl named Aki in Krummerik is the closest I've seen. I saw Jesus with short brown curly hair and star green eyes. He had a chiseled jaw and tan. He had the sweetest eyes I've ever seen, with laughter and smile wrinkles. That caught my attention. He had normal lips, and Akian's painting matched my memory. I cry when I view that painting because it takes my breath away and reminds me of heaven's splendor. Death-phobic people should know that my experience was beautiful. It taught me there's nothing to fear. Smile as much as possible while you're here. You'll feel better later. Be there for your elderly or ill parent, sibling, or close friend. Even though I don't want to be a hypocrite, I'll be heartbroken if I lose my parents. But remember that they will always be there. You can connect with them more than ever. Talk to them, close your eyes, and request a sign. Be open to signs. If you say, "I really miss you, can you show me a butterfly soon?" Look for butterflies. If a butterfly appears after weeks of absence, don't dismiss it. Thank you for that moment. Thank you, I know you're here. I get butterflies because I do that often. I don't ask family or angels, prove that you're here. I just say, "Hey, if you're around and you can hear me, I would love to just get a sign." And I always know when that sign comes. I chuckle at myself. I certainly look crazy in public, but I can locate those wonderful symbols when I ask. Don't be disappointed if you don't see them. They're probably there. You just might not see them.